Hi, and welcome to another design tip from J. Miller Studios. Today we're going to go over on how to use the pen and how to make compound paths. Now, the pen tool is also referred to a Bezier curve tool. It makes straight lines and curves, and the curves is what's referred to as the Bezier curve. Now, in order to draw something with the pen tool, you need a start point and then you need a stop point to make a line. If you want to make a curve, you're going to click and pull with your mouse or with your Apple Pencil to make the curve. Now, if I don't lock this piece by touching this point right here that's highlighted in blue and red, and I just click and drag again, I can make another curve, and then I can go into straight lines if I lock it. That's basically how the pen works, is to make your shapes. Vector programs are like super fancy collage. You build up shapes to get the desired effects you want. So, if I delete this guy, there's an image I've been wanting to work on and clean up. And a lot of people will bring in pings and because they're clear backgrounds and whatnot and apply it on graphics, but then they can't really scale it. If you take the artwork that you have to clean up and you bring it in, say like this horse image, I want a clear background, but I don't want any of the white, so I can apply it to anything. You're going to want to redraw this as a vector shape. Okay, so it can be compound paths. So you can put a photo behind it and use it as a clipping mask, or you can take it into another program and you can apply it so that it's clean, crisp lines on top. But the first step is you got to redraw this all with a pencil, or with a pen, I mean. And you could use the pencil, you can use the brush, you can use all these other things, but then you're dealing with strokes and you're going to have to adjust your brush as you go. Which makes it so if you want to use it as a compound path to knock out a photo, or do a photo in reverse, you can't use it. You're going to have to expand it and then clean it up. So, in my experience, it's better to just draw it out. So I'm going to have to set up some layers. So I'm going to set the layer here and lock it so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to make a new layer right here. I'm going to work off of that. Now, I'm not going to draw the whole thing out because you're going to get really annoyed if I did draw it out. But the main thing is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to do part of the main so you can see how it's done. Now, how accurate you are depends on your software and your equipment. If your mouse isn't very accurate, remember you can always go back and adjust these things with the node tool. So I'm going to pull this shape out, and in seconds I'm going to have the shape the way I want, and that way when it comes into future use I can just move it around how I want. So I'm going to take that guy, adjust the handle here so it matches. Now this is similar for all vector graphic drawing programs. It doesn't matter if it's Inkscape, it doesn't matter if it's Illustrator, it doesn't even matter if you're in like Affinity Photo or if you're in Photoshop. All the vector tools work the same. However, the problem being is once you get into a raster-based program and you start using vector, you've already turned that into a raster image, and then it's kind of pointless. Vector is the way to go if you want to scale it. So here's this piece, so you can see that I've actually done it traced over it to make the shape I want. Now mind you, this could be a scenario of cleaning up a logo for someone. Customers might have a logo they've had for 20, 30 years, but they need a nice clean, crisp logo made into an SVG for on the web. So it can scale when it goes into all the scripts and whatnot. Or they need something for their business card that looks beautiful. This is a very popular technique for redrawing all this. Now, before someone says this is right or wrong, there's like 15 ways in the art world to do pretty much the same thing in graphic design on the computer. So whether it's right or wrong, that's all subjective. It's just how you do the work. So while I've talked to you about this, I've managed to do the ear and a small part of the mane from there. Now, if you also notice, I like using bright colors so I can see what I'm doing. And if you notice I'm off a little bit here, I'm just going to scooch it over with the node tool, adjust my handle once again. And off we go. Now, some issues here. Okay, right now these are all separate paths. Okay, each shape is a path. Each shape is set up so when I click on it, they're all separate. In the industry, we like to make them compound paths, which means that multiple paths join together almost as if they're grouped, but as if they're a solid object. So I'm going to take and select, say, like the first two right here, and hopefully not get this guy. Okay, and then under your menu, you're going to pick Add. Okay, and it'd be same Pathfinder in Illustrator, and then hit Join or Unite. Now, what happens here is, if I click on this guy, I can move it with my finger. See how I stretched it right there? But when I click on this guy, notice both shapes got picked at once. That's making it into a compound path. And if we look at our layers, you'll see where it says curves, you'll see the two shapes together, the ear and the one part of the mane, but the single one there. Now watch what happens when I select both of them and make a compound path or add it. Now all becomes one solid shape. This is how you do a clipping mask or whatnot, or a reverse image where it's a big white square with the imagery on the inside. And that concludes our little tutorial on how to use the pen and make a compound path. Thank you for watching.